Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Outside the Squared Circle. I'm your boy Frank. That's your boy Dennis. We got special guest Ishe Smith here with us. Thank you, Ishe, for taking the time out your day to come talk with us. Guys, remember I'm gonna put our Facebook link in the description, so go ahead and give us a like on Facebook. We're trying to get more likes on that, and we'll have Dennis lead off. So go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, first off, I'm gonna dig right into it, man. Ishe, I seen your last fight. It was with Cecil McCullough. You put work in on him, and I gotta ask you this. It seemed like you fought him the same way you fought Laura. You lost that Laura fight. That was one of the best fights I seen you. You was real aggressive. Know what I'm saying? You was coming forward, and I said it seemed like you took that and you adopted it to the fight with Cecil, and you look spectacular. Is there any truth to it, or it just appeared that way or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we kind of wanted to build upon. We wanted to build the momentum coming from the Lara fight and keep the momentum going. And, we understood the situation with the Lara fight. He's very tough to fight, but, we know the only way to win or have a good showing was to apply a lot of pressure and, let my hands go. And we kind of just wanted to, carry that on. I wanted to carry that on. And, I took it, I just wanted to keep that pace going. And that's what I wanted to do, give the fans exciting fights and, put together good performances.
Absolutely. That's it really looked like that's what you was doing, because I said in that fight I was entertained. And even though, like I said, you lost a lower fight, I was entertained from beginning to end. But I gotta ask you, okay, you seem like you fought almost everybody in the division. You fought Laura, you fought Carlos Molina, you fought K9 Brundage. So I want to ask you, who's next in the division that you want to fight? Because I think now it's time for you to, get another title shot and put that strap back on. Or are you looking to do that your next fight, or are you building up to it?
Well, it just, it's a lot of guys out there. You got Demetrius Andrade out there who can't seem to, get an opponent. You have a lot of young and up-and-coming guys who have a lot to, still a lot to prove. You got Vanes out there, who's another quality contender. So there's a lot of guys out there. It's just about what Mayweather Promotions wants to do, what's the best course of action, and then we'll take it from there. But, me, I'll fight anybody. So whoever they put in front of me, I'll fight them.
Going back to your last fight against McCullough, it was on ESPN Friday Night Fights. So, it always seems like the ESPN fights, they're in a little bit smaller venues, and it seems like, on TV anyway, that the venues are just electric. Like, the atmosphere there always seems really good. Is it that way? And if it's that way, do you like atmospheres like that?
Well, you got to understand the situation. It was during the week as the biggest fight week probably in the history of boxing, with Floyd and Manny fighting each other. Then me being from Las Vegas, I had a lot of fans and a lot of family and friends who came. So the crowd was definitely electric, and just the fans in general, from it just being that fight week, that build up for Floyd and Manny was tremendous. So we had a good crowd out here in Las Vegas for that card. It was a very good night.
So when there's an atmosphere like that, are there any extra nerves in you, or does it calm you being in almost a hostile type of environment?
Well, I didn't fought in guys' backyards. I took the title from K9 in Detroit. So, I mean, when you've been a professional for 15 years, it is nothing you haven't seen. So you kind of just get used to it. You get used to it all. I lost a split decision at home against Molina. So you just never know what you're going to get. You try to not play into the crowds or any of that. You just try to go out there and do your
I've been
job.
watching you for a while, man. I'm even one of the guys that I remember when you and Mosley had that Shane Mosley had that beef about the name. I wanted to see that happen. I heard he's coming. I heard he's thinking about. He's 70% sure he's going to come back. If he did come back, would that be something that you would entertain, or is it like, nah, he's too over there?
I don't know, man. It's you know, you always want to see guys like Shane, who's had a Hall of Fame career, obviously, who's done so much for the sport of boxing. Once they hang them up, you would like to see them keep them hung up, because boxing is a dangerous sport. You want to see guys do well with their money. It's hard to stay away from the sport, but I don't want to be that guy that hangs them up and then keep coming back. So, you know, it's not something I entertain. Is, you know, like I said, my goal is to maybe fight a couple more fights, or if it's the next fight or whatever the case may be, to go out and get a title. So that's whether that's Demetrius Andrade, whether that's the guys that have the titles, whoever it may be. That's my goal now.
Absolutely. I think that'd be a good fight, you versus Andrade, you know what I'm saying? You're a good, crafty veteran. And like I say, he's young guy, you know what I'm saying, but he's still green. I think that'd be a great fight on both sides, you know what I mean? But I'm as a fan, I gotta ask the questions. I always want to know first, man. Will you ever fight Gabby Rosado? It seems like that feud been going for a while. And it's like you was with your high school coach, and he was like, "Nah, I ain't gonna fight him."
Yeah, well, you know, it just depends, man. You know, he's in between boxing and the other thing that he does, BKB.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the last time he had a fight was against maybe one of the Charlo brothers. He lost. So he's a vet. He's challenged for the middleweight title. You know, he says he can't make junior middleweight no more. I'm not a middleweight, so even though the fans want to see it, I don't see how it can get done. He doesn't really have anything I want, and I can't make middleweight. It's too big. It's too big for me. I tried that with Danny Jacobs and Fernando Guerrero, but the weight class is just too big for me, man.
I want to ask you something that's kind of controversial throughout the sport, especially with the fans. How you said that you'd like to see especially an older fighter is retired, that you'd like to see him stay retired because the sport's so dangerous. Now, we've seen it even this last weekend with the Gennady Golovkin and Monroe fight, that there were some fans who were poking fun at Monroe because he quit. And my thing has always been is once you're taking a certain amount of punishment, can you really call it quitting? So what are your sentiments about a fight when there's a fighter who decides to not continue when he's been taking a lot of big shots?
You know, I have a lot of respect for Willie. Obviously, he helped me get ready for Laura. He was a part of my camp for about a good 6 weeks. As a fighter, it's just, for me personally, I never want to see a guy quit. You know, I came up in the era where I was, you know, really good friends with Diego Chico Corrales. We were very close, and, you know, watching him fight, I only thought about Diego getting dropped in the Castillo fight like 2 times, starting to spit out his mouthpiece. You know, he had every right to quit, and then tides turned, and he ended up stopping him later in the round. So, you know, I love Willie, but I as a fighter myself, me being from the old school, I don't want to see him quit. I would like to see his corner do that job, you know, or somebody step in and say, you know what, we've had enough, because, you know, who knows, it's boxing. He could have caught him with a shot. You just, as a fighter, you never want to see another guy quit. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's pretty much my sentiments. Is I never like to see somebody quit, but the problem I have with fans is when they start calling people cowards. How do you feel when you hear fans, especially people who've never fought before, calling people coward?
No, he's not a coward. You know, I don't agree with that. He just probably had enough. Even though I don't want to see him quit, you know, he probably was hurt. He was shook up. I don't know if he's ever been dropped before as a professional. He went down. The first knockdown was deadly. He had been hurt several times in that fight. He just probably had enough. And like I said, you don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I would have liked to see him, you know, go out on his shield like Diego used to say, but unfortunately, you know, he
I'm going to ask you, Ishe, okay, look, another conversation. This is something that the fans be talking about a lot. What do you think about the fact that they have the boxing have all these belts? You know what I mean? You got the silver, you got the Intercontinental, you got so many belts. So you got the intern. I mean, you literally can have 3 champions with the same belt. I want to know, do you think that enhances sport because making all these guys champions, the fans get to identify with them? Or do you think it just hurts the sport to have so many different belts?
I think the belts, the belts help the fighters because when you have a belt, you demand more money, you make more money. So me personally, I like the belts. I like the main belts. The WBO, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBA. I like the brother and sister belts of those main belts, the USBA, the NABO, the NABF. But then once you start getting away of them smaller belts outside of those big belts, like the crazy belts, I really don't really care for those. The IBO is a nice belt too because it's computerized, rankings. So there's some belts out there that's cool, but some of the belts, the newer belts, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Okay. Another thing with the fans, they want to know. They seem to ask. Floyd, as he said, this is about to be his last year, and I know Manny, he's probably on his way out too. So, who do you think are some young fighters that you personally seen that you like? Yo, these guys gonna be the future.
It's a lot of good fighters out there. You know what I mean? It's some hell of some fighters out there, young that's coming up. I just, the wave of the superstar, the way it's built now is they're trying to put boxing out in the forefront where it's a lot of superstars, being boxing on network TV, so many cards every week. Al Heyman has done a tremendous job with marketing fighters and getting them out there with the right platforms. I just don't know if it'll ever be another single biggest athlete as Floyd. I think boxing as a whole would be better, but I just don't think it'll be a single athlete like that ever again. I think he's probably the last one to have it because boxing is just so different.
I'm going to touch on, because this is in your weight division, the Kirkland-Canelo fight. I want to know your thoughts on it. I want to know, do you think that Kirkland, it was just because he had a bad game plan, or was it a bad matchup, or do you think he really, not having Aaron Wolf really hurt him? Because I didn't expect this fight to go that way in particular myself. So being that fight is in your weight division, what do you think about that fight?
Well, I don't think it mattered if he had Aaron Wolf or not. I know the young guy, one of the young guys that worked with him, Joe Tucker, who's he's young. It was his first big opportunity. I don't think he was a head trainer, but he was a part of that camp. And he knows a lot about the game. My biggest problem was not Aaron Wolf or the trainers. It's just having that long off and then coming back and fighting one of the best in boxing. That's what messed him up. It wasn't no trainer. It wasn't no trainer that was gonna help him that night. He shouldn't have been in there with Canelo after having such a long layoff like that. You just don't come back and jump right back in there like that. You gotta take some tune-ups or something. You gotta at least have one tune-up before you jump back in the fire like that. And I think that's the biggest thing that hurt him more than anything.
So onto the topic of Canelo, I think he's a big boy, so he's going to be moving up sooner rather than later. If he does move up and challenges Gennady Golovkin at some point, maybe next year, who would you favor in that fight?
Right now, I would say it's a pick 'em fight. I think Gennady is a good fighter. Obviously, I think Canelo at this stage is a little bit better because the opposition has been better. Even with him losing to Floyd, his opposition has been way better with Angulo, with Trout, with Kirkland. He's fought a lot, Lara. He's fought a lot of people, whereas Gennady hasn't had that defining opponent yet. And the jury's still out. I'm not oversold like everybody else, like the hype machine, he's better than all these great middleweights from the past. Yeah. I'm not as hyped and as sold as everybody else, but I think he's a very good fighter. But right now, I will have to give the edge to Canelo. He's fought the better.
What can we expect next from Ishe if not the Andrade fight? Because like I said, me personally, that's a good fight.
Whoever they put in front of me, Mayweather Promotions has done a great job with my career, as you stated earlier. I mean, a lot of people have said, like, even though I suffered defeat, the Lara fight was probably one of the best fights of my career. And I just want to keep that momentum going. I know we got a lot of young guys in the sport. 154 to me is one of the hottest divisions in boxing now because it has some veterans in it, some nice champions in it, and then you have some young guys coming up. So just stay busy. And if I can't get that Andrade fight, maybe Trout's out there. That's another great fight for me. Andrade's out there, Barnes is out there. It's just you got the Charlo brothers out there. Barnes is out there. You have so many guys out there, man. And one thing about me, I don't dodge anyone. And everybody say, well, he got 7 losses. If you go look at my 7 losses, I was never in a fight where all those fighters that I lost to were great fighters. Some of them even champions. Some of them went on to be world champions. Danny Jacobs is a world champion. Fernando Guerrero fought for a world title against Peter Quillen. So I just want to fight the best, man. That's it.
All right, thanks a lot, man. In closing, did you want to say anything to your fans?
I just want to thank my fans, man, and thank you for supporting me for 15 years. It's been a nice ride, and God's been good to me, man, to keep me lasting this long, man. I really do. I don't take my blessings for granted.
Absolutely. God bless you, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Have a good one, Ishe. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, you too, man. Thanks, Frank.
All right, guys, so a special thanks to Ishe Smith for coming on and taking the time to let us interview him. He was a great guest. So we want to ask you guys some things about Ishe Smith. First of all, we want to know, what do you guys want next for him? Because just like he said, there are a lot of names at 154 that he could potentially take on. So I want you guys to comment in the YouTube comments section and let us know, who are you interested in him fighting? Because I think there are a lot of interesting matchups. The one that takes the cake for me is the Andrade fight. I really want to see the Ishe Smith versus Andrade.
Okay, guys, I got to give a shout out to Boxing Videos Only for Fights. They're an amazing boxing site on Facebook. Check them out. They got the best videos out there. Even sometimes I got to share videos that they show because they're just amazing. And also Boxing News Flash. They're also a great site on Facebook. Check them out. Give them some likes. Share their videos. Share their posts. And I would like to personally thank you guys. And I got to say that we have definitely been getting more support from you guys. It feel like we've been getting more shares, more people subscribing. That's what we need. We want you guys to help make us number one, because we're going to continue to bring you the best interviews. We're going to ask the touchy top subjects. So that's what we do here. We're going to bring you all the great inside news from boxing. And we also will give you predictions and how we felt about fights. And we're not going to be political about it, because we fans like you, we're going to say how we feel. So, guys, continue supporting us. And we're going to continue supporting you guys, because we love you out there. Thank you. Continue to tune in.